What's up guys, my name is Matthew and today I'm going to be talking about my top 10 favorite books I read in 2022. Okay, I'm very much aware that I have not posted a video in months and I have a very good explanation for that, and that is because I haven't read a book in months. I'm pretty sure I have been fired from BookTube, so I'm trying to get my job back, so I'm here. The reason I created my BookTube channel is because this video is my favorite, the video where you get to talk about your favorite books of the year. So I am posting this regardless of the fact that I have not read a book from like October to December, because I did read a lot of really good books between January and August. So I have a list of 10 books. Most of them are thrillers if you're been around for a while, because I do mostly read thrillers, but I do have a nonfiction, I have a romance, and I think that's it. There might be some surprises in here, but of course, as always, I will have timestamps down below so you can skip to what you want to skip. That doesn't help my video, but I would rather not waste people's time because I don't like my time wasted. So let's jump right in for number 10 of my favorite books I read this year. And this is a nonfiction. I talked about it in one of my last videos, I recall, and that is 5 Days of Memorial. This is about what happened at a hospital in New Orleans during Hurricane Katrina, where a doctor and 2 nurses were accused of euthanizing patients that were trapped in the hospital because they could not get out. There's an Apple TV show that is phenomenal. It's gonna get all the Emmys. It is amazingly, is that a word? I don't know. It's amazing. I highly recommend you watch the Apple TV show first, and if you want more information, then I would hop into this book, because this book is very detailed. I was obsessed with the show, and because as most of you know, I'm from New Orleans, so I was just, especially interested in it. So I decided to get the book, and this author, Sheri Fink, well, she's not an author, she's more of a journalist. Sheri Fink did a fantastic job breaking down everything, and it's just really fascinating. And what's so fascinating about it is you're gonna have an opinion. You're gonna have an opinion whether you think what the doctors did was ethical, whether you would have done that, what would you have want done to you, and all those kind of like morally gray areas when you're in a situation like a natural disaster, where you're living in a war zone where there's no laws and people are trapped, and like what do you do to help people that are dying, and what is the ethical decision? So like I said, I would definitely check out the Apple TV show, and if you're more interested, then pick up this book, because this book is dense, but I loved it because I went down to like a deep rabbit hole of being obsessed with everything Hurricane Katrina and wanting to know what went down at this hospital that's like a few blocks that way. Number 9 on my list is probably my most shocking book that I read this year, of expecting not to like it, but loving it. And I shouldn't be surprised, because Jenkins Reid is an amazing writer, and I love like all of her books. But this book, Carrie Said I Was Back, it's about a tennis player and it's surrounded by sports. So when I heard the description, I was kind of like, I really don't want to read a book about an athlete. Like, that's not what I read about. It's not a romance, it's not a thriller, it's just a contemporary about a tennis player. And I was like, I don't want to read this. But I was like, it's Jenkins Reid, she's a queen, everyone on BookTube's gonna be talking about it, so I have to read it. I picked this up and I loved it. I was obsessed with it. And I was just so shocked, because like, I don't give a shit about athletes and their life and being a famous tennis player. That does not interest me. So I was shocked. If you are living under a rock and you don't know what this book is about, it's about a girl named Carrie Soto, who is a very, very, very famous female athlete, tennis player. Think like Serena Williams. She had like the record for Grand Slams. And how this book starts is there's a new, younger girl, I think her name is Nikki Chan, and she overtook Carrie Soto's record of Grand Slams in tennis. And Carrie Soto came back like, no one's taking my record. So she came out of retirement to kind of get her record back. And this book starts, Carrie Soto is a miserable person for the majority of this book. And I was rooting against her for the majority of the book, because she's just so awful. She was awful. All she cared about is tennis. She was rude to every person she met. Everyone was a means to an end for her. She just lived a very, very just awful life. And my favorite part of the book was kind of watching her progress as a person, as cheesy as this sounds, figuring out the true meaning of life, and maybe tennis isn't everything there's more to life than just being a famous tennis player. And I got really invested in it. And it's in the same world as 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. She was actually mentioned in Malibu Rising. So I love how Jenkins Reid is taking characters from different books and giving us their story. So you will be familiar with Carrie Soto, which it goes into her background. And yeah, I really like the progression. There's a little bit of romance in here, but that's not what this book is about. This book is mostly about self-discovery and figuring out, what's really important in life, and putting things and realizing that things that you might think are so important really aren't that important. So if you heard the description of a female tennis player and that sounds so boring to you, you have no desire to read it, you know, it's actually pretty good, and I do recommend it, and it was my 9th favorite book of 2022. Okay, coming in number 8 will be no surprise if you've watched any of my videos recently, and that is They Never Learn by Layne Fargo. So many people had been recommending this to me, and I just kept pushing it off, and I finally read it, and it is worth the hype. I absolutely loved it. This has a twist in the middle of the book that bamboozled me. I did not see it coming. I'm so frustrated with myself for not seeing the twist coming. I've talked about it in other videos, but I just loved it. It's very academia. You know that I like books set in academia because I just like that college-y vibes. This book is about a girl named Scarlett who is a professor at this big, I don't know if it's a big, it's like a liberal arts college, I think. And she's actually a female serial killer. She goes around killing bad men who do bad things to women or just not good people. So she's an English professor by day, but secretly a serial killer by night. So we're getting perspectives from her. And then we're also getting perspectives from this girl named Carly who just started at the university. And she's kind of this nerdy girl, and she's, you know, trying to figure out what it's like to be in college. She's made friends with this really popular girl, and this little popular girl takes her under her wing. So we're getting dual perspectives from Scarlett and Carly, and this book is just so fun. The twist in the middle, it got me, and I love when a thriller can just trick me. I like being tricked in a thriller because the more thrillers I read, the less I get tricked because I see the same twists over and over again, played a little bit differently. And this one, I don't know why, Layne Fargo did a very good job at tricking me, and I loved it so much. I highly recommend it. I'm sure most of you have already read it because everyone on BookTube has talked about it, but if you're looking for a very good thriller, especially a thriller set in academia, I would definitely recommend They Never Learn. Okay, I had to take my sweatshirt off because I was legit about to pass out. All right, we're on number 7, and that is gonna be Heartstopper. Oh my God, this is so cute. This is a graphic novel romance about 2 high school boys in the UK, I believe, and just their love story. Most of you have already heard this. There's a Netflix show that's so cute. If you haven't watched the Netflix show, definitely watch it. I had never read a graphic novel before. I think, yeah, this is a graphic novel. So it's literally like a picture book, a comic book. And when I first started, I was kind of skeptical. I don't know if I was, I was like, oh, am I gonna like this? And it took a little bit, and I was like, I'm obsessed. And I bought all 4 volumes. I read all 4 volumes in like 2 days because they're super fast to read. But it's just a super cute coming of age, 2 gay boys. One of them's like this really, he's the jock at the school, and another one came out a year earlier, so he's a little bit more timid, and he was bullied, and it's exploring coming out of the closet, being in a gay relationship in high school, and it's just so heartwarming. It makes you giddy. You need to watch the show on Netflix if you haven't, because it's just so well done. The actors are fantastic, and they literally look just like the characters in the graphic novel. So if you're looking for something, I don't know why I'm saying this, I know everyone's already read this, but if you need another sign to pick up Heartstopper or watch it on Netflix, this is your sign, because it will make you giddy, it will make you feel like all warm and fuzzy inside, and sometimes we all need to feel warm and fuzzy because it's, dark times out there. I needed a break from all of my thrillers and murder that I normally read throughout the year. So yeah, number 7, Heartstopper, the whole series. This is the first volume, but I have all of them up there. Coming in at number 6 is actually a book that has not been published yet. It comes out March 7th, 2023 of this year. I received an advance copy, and I was shocked to receive this copy because this is one of my favorite authors, and that is William Landry, and he is coming out with a book called All That Is Mine, I Carry With Me. I don't like titles that are so long and I can't remember them. Anyway, the book is so good. If you liked, William Landry wrote Defending Jacob. This is his most famous book, so this is the one you would know. If you liked Defending Jacob, if you like the style, you will love All That Is Mine, I Carry With Me. What is it about? It is about we got some dual timelines going on, and it starts off in the 1970s, I believe, and it's this, suburban family. The little girl, Megan or Miranda, if her name, comes home and her mom is missing, things are off, then there becomes this big hunt that, what happened to the wife? Where is she? Of course, the husband is the first, when the wife goes missing, the first person you look to is the husband. And this is a thriller in the same way that Defending Jacob is a thriller, meaning that you're dealing with, obvious potential murder, what happened, the mystery element. But what William Landry does so well is he crafts these characters and gives you a backstory and does a good job of showing situational drama within families. I probably did not articulate that very well, but he's good at giving you a mystery, but then also showing you the dynamics of the family and how these three kids whose mom disappeared, do they know if their dad's responsible, how that's affected them growing up. And it's very similar to Defending Jacob when you're dealing with a kid who's being accused of murdering another kid, how that affects a marriage, how that affects their relationship with the kid. And that's what I like so much about William Landry. I'm actually reading The Strangler by William Landry right now, so I'll have that on my wrap-up for January. Wrap-ups are coming back. And I loved it. Now, just like in Defending Jacob, this is not a thriller. I call this a character-driven thriller, meaning sometimes we read thrillers because we want the big twist. We want our jaws to be on the ground. We want to be like mind-fucked, sorry. I haven't spoken in front of camera in so long. I'm like, I'm cursing in front of camera. But was I shocked by the ending? Yes, but that's not why I love this book. I love the book because of the family relationships, the writing style. Just, I felt like I was in the book. I felt just so invested. It felt like a true crime. It felt like true crime. It felt like this could be very real. And the ending is something you will want to talk about. And when I read this back in September, August, and I went on Goodreads, and there had only been 11 people who had read it. So like, I literally have no one to talk to about this ending because this ending is so original. Not original in a twist sense, just original in a, wow, I've never seen that done. Did not see that coming. And I think I know what happened in the end. I do know what happened in the end, but if you read the book, you'll know what I'm talking about, where you need to discuss it. Just like in Defending Jacob, the ending, you're like, I need to talk to someone about this. There's so much to unpack here. I have no one to unpack it with. So buy the book when it comes out in March so that you can talk to me about it on Instagram or something, because I have a lot of thoughts on this, but I obviously don't want to spoil it, but I absolutely loved it. I have never given a William Landry book less than 5 stars. I love his writing. I love the way he tells a story and the type of thriller it is. And sometimes you just need a character-driven thriller. I'm going to release a video soon that gives you examples of character-driven thrillers so you can kind of see what I'm talking about. And if you do like character-driven thrillers, you'll have a list and all of my favorites that I've done. But yes, I don't even know what number we're on, but yes, oh no shit, I don't have the book because it's not published yet. But all that is mine I carry with me. Coming in at number 5 will not be a shock to most of you if you've watched my thriller recommendation videos, and that is Jar of Hearts by Jennifer Hillier. This is a book, I have to get my thoughts together because there's a lot going on. It's about a girl named Angela who was murdered way in the past, and she had a best friend named Georgina, and Georgina has kind of, I'm trying to figure out how to tell you this book without let me just read the description at the back of the book, come on. Or Angela disappears. I don't even think people know she was murdered back in the day. Present day, they find the remains of Angela, and Georgina, who was best friends with Angela, was dating this guy named Calvin something, and Calvin was a notorious serial killer, and Calvin took the fall of, I'm doing such a shit job. Okay, sorry. So Calvin, this serial killer, gets accused of murdering Angela, Georgina's best friend, and Georgina knew, I had to read the back of the book to make sure I could tell you this. Georgina knew all of these years what really happened to her best friend, and all of the things start to surface, and the book opens up in a court scene with Georgina kind of coming forward with the truth. There's a lot that goes on in this book, and I'm explaining to you, and I'm thinking about this whole other side plot that happens. I'm not gonna tell you about that because it's a huge twist at the end, and it is so kind of sick, kind of fucked up, kind of jaw-dropping. You know, this is the stuff we want in a thriller, to be like, what is happening? This book made me fall in love with Jennifer Hillier. She's one of my new favorite thriller authors. I've read a couple books by her, but this was by far my favorite from her. I know that was actually probably the most awful description of a book I've ever told you. Just think, girl goes missing, years later, they figure out that she was murdered. Her best friend really knew what happened to her all these years. Why was she keeping the secret? What else was involved in this situation? There's other side stories. It's so freaking good. Just trust me, okay? Trust me if you've not read it, that you want to read this book if you like thrillers, because it is that good. And that is number 5, Jar of Hearts. Coming in at number 4 will also not be a shock to most of you if you've watched my previous videos, and that is Who is Maud Dixon by Alexandra Andrews. This is the debut novel from this author, and I loved it. A lot of people on BookTube were recommending it. I didn't really know too much going in, so when I describe it to you, I'm gonna leave it very vague. But I will say this, while you're reading the first 3/4 of this book, you will think you're reading just a contemporary book. You're gonna be like, Matthew, this is not a thriller, I'm just reading a story. I promise, if you stick through it, the last 4th of the book is batshit crazy. All those thriller elements are coming, I promise. And, well, let me tell you about the book. So the book is about this girl named Florence Darrow who is in publishing. She works at publishing houses, and there's this famous author called Maud Dixon. No one knows anything about Maud Dixon. Is Maud Dixon a female, male? How old are they? It's a pen name. No one knows anything about this author, but she or he wrote a very famous book. Think like Gone Girl. Think if we didn't know who wrote Gone Girl. That's the level of famous this book was. Florence, our protagonist, our main character, gets the opportunity to work with Maud Dixon. She's so excited, and that's where I'm gonna leave it for you. So just think this girl in publishing gets to go work with Maud Dixon, help her out with her next book she's publishing, and shit hits the fan. That's all I'm gonna say. Trust me, it's so good. The ending, you're gonna see what's coming before the main character sees what's coming, and you're gonna be like, girl, run. You're in danger. But you know when you're watching a movie and you know what's happening before the characters know what's happening? That's will be the situation here, and you'll be like, oh shit, it's gonna hit you like a brick. You're gonna figure out what's going on. You're like, oh shit. So I definitely recommend. This book was so good. If you've heard people talk about it and you have been hesitant to read it, just trust me, read this book. But just know that the first 3/4 are interesting, they're good, they're just not thrilling. But the thrilling stuff will come, I promise. Oh my God, I forgot how exhausting it is to talk in front of a camera for this amount of time, but let's go. High energy. Woo, top 3, let's do it. We're almost done. Okay, number 3 is not gonna be shocking. Unless you're new here, then it is gonna be shocking. And that is The Boys Club by Erika Katz. And this book was so good. It's not your typical thriller where you're dealing with murder mysteries and whodunits. It is about a girl named Alex who graduated from Harvard Law School, and she's top of her class. She starts working in big law. Big law is where all the smart lawyers go, and they work like 15 hours a day, and they sleep under their desks, and it's just cutthroat. Everyone's competitive, but you're making a lot of money. And we're following Alex joining this really prestigious law firm. And I know what you're thinking, Matthew, I have zero desire to read a book about a lawyer just being a lawyer. That does not sound interesting. Every person I have recommended this book to has loved it 5 stars. There's something about it, the world and the corrupt partners, the evilness, just the greed, the money, what you have to do to get to the top, to be a successful lawyer in big law. I mean, obviously it's an exaggerated version. I hope I don't work in big law, but I hope it's not this bad. But it is so good. It's so good. I will be shocked if you read this book and don't like it. But just go in knowing that it's not a murder mystery. It's not a thriller. We're not going to have a body that has to figure out who done it. There's not going to be this crazy twist at the end where your mind's blown. You're just going to be sitting there like, what is going to happen next? This girl, what is like the world? It's the world that I love so much. Just the shittiness of the world. And I keep recommending this to my friends, to you on BookTube, and everyone comments like, thank you, Matthew, no one's talking about this book. This is one you need to pick up if you just want like a high-stake, adrenaline-rushing, interesting book, even though it's about a lawyer, and lawyers are so boring, I'm aware. All right, we're in the top 2. Ooh, I went back and forth with 1 and 2 so many times. I wanted to give this book number 1 because Ashley Winstead won my favorite book last year, so I was like, I need to give it to her again, but after just thinking about it, I have to give this book number 2. This book is amazing. It was everything I was hoping it was for, but it's not number 1. I don't know why I'm being so secretive, because you can just look at the timestamp to see what number 1 is. Anyway, The Last Housewife by Ashley Winstead. Ashley Winstead is my favorite thriller author, and I absolutely love this book. I rave about Ashley Winstead. I'm so annoying. I have signed copies of every one of her books. She's a queen. We love her. What is this book about, if you've not read it? This is about a girl named Sheri. And when Sheri was in college, she got kind of seduced into this a cult with her college friends, and being manipulated and abused by this really awful, charismatic man who kind of seduced women and got them trapped into this cult. And this book will make you so angry. Like, I just even thinking about it, I'm like thinking about all the emotions that I went through while reading this book. So this book is about Sheri, and Sheri and her friend Laurel escaped from the cult when they were back in college, and she was like, I am done, I am not going back there. And then she figures out that Laurel, her friend who also escaped, got murdered on campus. So she realized, oh shit, maybe Laurel was still messed up with this weird cult that was going on at the time. She gets, Sheri, our protagonist, starts working with a podcaster, because the podcaster kind of calls her asking like, what's going on here? So then they both go back to the university and try to go undercover to figure out what's going on with this sex cult. Is it still alive? Who's in charge? And it is so good. Obviously, there's trigger warnings. This book is super like awful, like sexual assault to women, abusing women, mental, physical, verbal, sexual, anything triggering is here. So if you don't want to read anything like that, don't read this book, because this book is dark. This book is twisted. But if you can read a book that's twisted and just kind of, enjoy it, not because you like twisted things, but just the story itself, it is so good, so fascinating, so well written. Ashley Winstead, she did it again. I feel bad that I'm not giving her first place, but the next book won't be a shock to you either, because that book is just as twisted and messed up. But if you have not read The Last Housewife and you're okay with reading about a sex cult, I highly recommend it, because it is so freaking good. Okay, coming in at number 1, my favorite book of 2022. This book was not published in 2022, but I read it early January 2022. Is Pretty Girls by Karin. And I know that won't be a shock to most of you if you've watched my videos, but this book was my first Karin book. It blew my fucking mind. I left this book just completely, I was like, I have to read every Karin book there is, because I'm so obsessed with her. This book is so, so good. I keep pushing it on everyone, because you people on BookTube, you people who read thrillers, this is old news, because everybody knows Karin. Everyone kept saying, Matthew, read Karin. You're gonna like it. I watched your videos. I know what kind of books you like. Why have you not picked up a Karin book? Since then, I've read like 4 or 5 of them, and there's so many more to read, and I've loved almost every single one of them. What is this book about? This is about 2 sisters, Claire and Lydia. And when they were younger, they had a 3rd sister. I don't remember her name, but her 3rd sister went missing. And after her 3rd sister went missing, the 2 sisters stopped speaking to each other. They no longer speak. Claire, kind of went the married a rich man, lived the upper class lifestyle, and her sister didn't live the upper class lifestyle. She lived kind of the lower class lifestyle. Well, not lower class, but you know what I mean. She's not living in a $1 million house with, her rich husband. She's struggling to make ends meet. So they're living completely different lives. The book opens up with Claire's husband being murdered. That's not a spoiler. It happens in the 1st chapter, and it's just kind of like the catalyst for the book. And when Claire's husband gets murdered, that kind of starts off kind of this investigation, and Claire starts looking into the past. What happened to her sister? What was her husband involved in? And when you it's so fucked up. Like, this is just like I said with the Ashley Winstead book. If you don't want to read about women being tortured and abused verbally, sexually, everything, don't read this book, because I don't want to be the one who told you to read a book that's very sick, because it is sick. But it is so, it's like a train wreck or a car crash. You can't look away. Once you're in, you're like, I am reading something that is so scary and fucked up, but I have to know what happened, what's going on, and I need to know. It's like, when you're watching something like murder, I need to know what happened, and it's so good. I'm being very aggressive, but that's how much I like this book. And she beat Ashley Winstead. To beat Ashley Winstead, that's a big feat. And I know most of you have probably already read this book, because this book is this is not a new book. It just took me so long to read it. But if you are looking for a thriller, if you want to feel angry at just evil men, I highly recommend this book. I don't know what else to say. But that is my favorite book of the year. I'm sorry if this video wasn't as well thought out. I didn't speak, hi Lizzie. I didn't explain the books as good as I used to. It's been a very long time that I've spoken in front of a camera. It's been a while. I am back into reading. You should be expecting more videos. I'm not making any promises. I hope so. It's January 2nd, and I've already read a book. So we're on track. We're out of the abusive relationship with that Goodreads tracker, that orange girl. Me and her had a very toxic relationship. This year, we have a cute purple girl, and I like her. And I'm excited to start reading this year. Let me know your favorite books. Let me know if you agree or disagree with me. And I will see you guys in another video soon.
Stay. No, you're gone in the morning.